So hello and welcome everyone to this webinar on the Blueback System Center version 1.0. My name is Mark O'Brien. I'll be your host for today. Thank you all for your participation. So just a quick note on today's session. We're using a GoToMeeting hosted presentation. You should see a panel like this, which you can minimize by using the little red arrow. Click it again to bring the panel back. You can display the GoToMeeting session as a full screen or window via the View menu. And by default, everyone is muted, so please submit any questions you have into this text dialogue. We'll do our best to answer you as we go along. We'll hopefully have time to share some of the Q&A at the end of the session that have come in. The webinar is also being recorded. You'll all be provided a link within 24 hours. Please feel free to distribute as you require. And also the webinar recording will be posted on the website. So moving on to the agenda, we'll run through an introduction to this new plugin, introduce the System Center modules that are supplied, the system architecture, touch on the reports and analytics. These will be covered in more detail in the demo. We'll then spend the majority of the session in a live demo, discuss what value the System Center brings, finally let you know about the licensing and evaluations before sharing any Q&A that have come in. So the Blueback System Center allows you to optimize the performance of your Petrel environment. Blueback System Center is a plugin for Petrel that provides a real-time overview of the Petrel user environment and usage, a tool for Petrel application owners, Petrel system administrators, Petrel support, and data managers. From license monitoring, reporting hardware settings and Petrel project settings to statistics on Petrel usage, Blueback System Center gives you an excellent real-time overview, allowing you to ensure the efficiency of your Petrel users and provide improved Petrel support. The System Center is a lightweight plugin for Petrel that executes upon Petrel startup and is designed to be installed on all machines that have Petrel installed. The plugin can also be executed as a command line tool in a script such that relevant information can be recorded without Petrel being executed, or the plugin can also be executed as part of a scheduled task. Information is collected from all machines with Petrel installed and saved in a central SQL Server database. The database is then used for reporting and analytics, for example, to ensure the correct Petrel version is installed, see are plugin versions up to date, are the correct seismic cache settings configured. It also becomes possible to correlate Petrel problems with hardware and network details, see who's using Petrel, document Petrel crashes per user, per version, per machine, and also view studio knowledge settings per user, for example. So you can see lots of useful data to help you maximize and streamline your Petrel environment. So as I mentioned, the System Center is supplied as two modules. A plugin to be installed on all machines with Petrel. The plugin installer currently exists on Petrel 2012 and 2013. Bear with me. It also collects information for the user and the machine used to execute Petrel. Pertinent information from Petrel, all Petrel versions on that machine will also be recorded, not just on 2012 or 2013 into which you have installed the plugin. So the System Center is also supplied as a console application. This allows the plugin to be invoked via a command line or a script, etc. So for example, if you have a machine sitting there with Petrel and the plugin installed, but Petrel does not get started, it's possible to invoke the plugin and collect information on that particular machine and user. So the System Center plugin records information from Petrel itself, machines running Petrel, and Petrel users to a centralized 2008 or 12 SQL Server database. The scripts for building the schema are supplied with the install files. Data can also be recorded via command line execution of the plugin. The SQL Server database can be accessed via the data link in Excel, which then allows you to perform the required analysis and analytics. We will supply a desktop application front end to the database with the next version, So this will be kind of real-time dashboard, if you will. You will still, of course, be able to work complementary analysis in Excel. The System Center analytics can in turn be utilized for corporate reporting, real-time monitoring of Petrel and its environment. The data can also provide valuable information for enhancing support response and solutions. So the System Center database can be viewed in any tool that supports access to SQL Server. So I'm going to be utilizing Excel in the demo, but you can also use SQL Server Reporting or Management Studio and Spotfire, to name a few. The database schema comes with a number of predefined views constructed from the database tables that make it easy to access the data. Again, as I mentioned, a desktop application is under construction that will provide a real-time dashboard view of your Petrel environment, license usage, performance, and that will be part of the version 2 release. Okay, so let's have a look at the tool. Okay, so as you mentioned, the System Center plugin has 2 modules that we referred to previously that reside in the extensions directory, in this case 2012. So here we can see the System Center and the System Center console. So upon Petrel startup, these report to the SQL Server database. So just to show you this in real time, I'm just going to have a license splash here. I'm going to click OK to start a Petrel session. So as I mentioned, we have a System Center database, a number of database tables, and then a number of organized views. So I'm just going to make a query against this session detailed. So this is the Petrel session log. So I have user machine, start time, end time for each Petrel session, version, startup time, CPU startup time. So we can see the last row in the table is my previous Petrel session, which ran yesterday from 5:45 until 6:30. So I can just refresh this query, and then once Petrel is opened, we will see a new row in the database corresponding to the new Petrel session that I've just started. So there's Petrel, so if I refresh the query, so you can see there's yesterday's session from 5:45 till 6:30, and then this new session that's just been opened 10:10 today. The end time is null, meaning the session is still active. We can also use these null end times to monitor sort of Petrel crashes or when computers get taken off the network, for example. So that was just to show you the real-time feed. So the plugin is installed. I've opened a Petrel session. It's actively pushing information to the SQL database. So just to show you while I have Petrel open, the System Center configuration. So if I come into Tools, Blueback System Center configuration. So this panel allows you to test the connection to the database, provide the appropriate authentication, configure what data you would like to report on. It's also possible to configure this to use a global configuration file, such that you can build one global file, lock it down, and point all the local installations to this global configuration. So as you can see, the System Center is installed, it's running, reporting real-time on my Petrel environment, license utilization, configuration, plus many more settings and user decisions. So I'm going to move into Excel and show you through the System Center database in some more detail. So if we just look back at the database for a second, we have these a series of views which are a sort of organized view of the database which you can quickly access from Excel. So I'm going to open up Excel and just show you how to hook Excel to the SQL Server database. So this is done by the data. So from all the sources, SQL Server, just paste in my server name. Next, choose my System Center database. And then I can see all those views we just previously scrolled along. So I'm going to bring in the session detailed. Okay, so this is just quickly imported the data from the session detailed view in the SQL Server database. So if you scroll to the end, we should see the session we were looking at yesterday, and also the active session I have running at the moment. I'm just going to jump into another version of this Excel sheet that's feeding from the SQL Server database. So I've spent a bit of time sort of pulling in all of the different views that are available from the database. So we're going to work through these in turn and sort of have a look at the information we have and what analysis we can work. So the first tab is the Petrel tab. So we can see the version we have installed on each machine, the CPU type, the installation folder for Petrel. So we can take this and sort of run it through a pivot table and pivot chart. So we can use this to show, for example, a count of the number of each version that's installed, or indeed quickly reorganize this to be able to display the number of Petrel versions by machine. So here we can see, for example, we have a number of 2013 alpha and beta installs on quite a few machines, which probably shouldn't be there anymore. We can also see this machine down here also has 2009.2 still installed. The next tab along, or view from the database, is the Machines tab. This shows us all the data recorded from all the machines that have the Petrel installs. So for each machine we have the name, the license variable, the graphics card, memory model, machine model, operating system, CPU type. So it allows quick identification of hardware you're using to run Petrel, and those machines that are perhaps not quite up to specification for optimal Petrel performance. This also allows you to cross-check any reported performance issues on a particular machine, or Petrel performance issues against the specs that you have in place. So again, this can be sort of reworked into a distribution of graphics cards on the network, breakdown by machine type running Petrel, show the CPU type on each machine running Petrel, and also the license variables, so what license server a machine is configured to look at, who is using a local dongle, etc. The next worksheet or view is the plugin table. So here we have information on the version of each plugin installed, on which version of Petrel and on which machine. So you can check if the desired or most up-to-date version of a plugin is installed. So this can kind of be reworked into a view to show what version of each plugin is installed for each user, for each Petrel version, and for what user and what PC. So for this particular PC on 2011, we can see that the Geodata Investigator and Cycling version is installed, and kind of drill down to get the version number. And same is true for each version of Petrel on each PC. So the next tab is the Sessions tab. So here we have details from each user on each machine of the Petrel, session start and end time, the Petrel start up time, CPU start up time, session duration. So again, this can be reworked into, for example, Petrel utilization time in hours by user, or also a chart of min-max and average Petrel startup times by user, machine, and Petrel version. So here we can see, for example, there's very different startup times between these two users. So perhaps this guy kind of has a more optimized Petrel environment compared to this guy. You might also be able to see that perhaps 2013 is starting up faster than 2012, and sort of analyze that a little bit further. So the next worksheet we have are the actions. So here we have columns for machine, version, action, project, path, user, and time. So this gives us information on how long a particular project on a particular machine took to save, or save as, or close. You can also see, for example, if a project has been saved to a USB, for example. So the next tab or view from the database is the license view. So here we have start and end time for license module utilization by user. So the data we have here comes from a license system using license packages, not stack on start. In this scenario, if a user chooses package 1 that has modules A, B, and C tied to it, then the start time for all three modules, A, B, and C, will be equal to the Petrel session start and end times. We can't currently record physical interaction with a particular module process inside Petrel that would allow us to monitor actual module utilization within Petrel. If it was a stack on start setup, we would be able to record start and end times based on individual module selection. So this table as it is sort of allows you to perhaps see who's sitting on a particular license or package. Can be reworked. What we can monitor, for example, is the number of checkouts per day per user of packages containing a particular module. So here we have checkouts of packages containing advanced gridding by day and per user. The license start and end time can also tell us important information on Petrel crash occurrences. So a null license session end time means that either Petrel has crashed, the machine was taken off the network, or the session is still active. But if you're kind of looking, a week, looking at statistics from a week ago, and the session is still null, then it's either a crash or the project was taken off the network. So the next tab we have is the Studio database. So this shows the Studio database connections configuration held on each machine, what database a user is connected to, authentication used, service name, etc. We have similar data for Studio Find. The next worksheet is the system view. This holds system data by version by machine for Petrel. So we can see if a ZG wildfire location has been set and what favorite packages have been assigned by the user, the last license package used, the default project unit system, seismic cache size, many other system variables and settings that are used to configure Petrel. So just to sort of run through the last few tabs quickly, we have the plugin manager. So the default directory location for plugin extensions. Any modules, additional modules installed onto a particular version of Petrel on a particular machine. Coordinate information, so catalog name utilized by a particular Petrel version, the install folder, catalog file, etc. Application settings, and then lastly, the users and what machine they are active on. So as you can see, lots of valuable information from the machines running Petrel, the people using Petrel, and of course Petrel itself. So the last worksheet I have here is something you could query out of the database or put together in Excel. So user profile, so basically taking all of the information from each of the views or worksheets we've looked at, and filtering that by user, and kind of building a user profile, so showing what hardware, Petrel version, performance, licenses, etc. that a particular user is configured to use or is using. So just to reiterate again, we are on release 1.0 of the System Center, and version 2 will have a desktop application front end, providing a real-time dynamic view of your Petrel system and licensing, users and machines. However, you can see how powerful and flexible Excel has been in allowing us to analyze the System Center database. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back to PowerPoint to finish off. So if we consider the three main domains around the Petrel Studio platform, Petrel IT support, Petrel Studio data management, and the Petrel user, and where the Blueback System Center fits into the overall Blueback data management portfolio, which also consists of the project tracker, project time machine, project management toolbox. You can see that the System Center is being positioned mostly as a Petrel IT support product that also provides some assistance to the Petrel and Studio data manager. So the value that the System Center adds to the Blueback data management suite is that of improved user support, so allowing you to quickly cross-check performance against hardware, for example, if a user complains on performance, enhance management of Petrel deployments, management of Petrel plugins and studio environments, real-time Petrel license checkout and monitoring, a network-wide overview of project and seismic realization locations, and also allow you to monitor and configure optimal Petrel performance. So onto licensing and evaluations. Free evaluations of the System Center are available now. We will provide support with the installation, configuration, deployment of the plugin, database analysis, etc. This is of course true for any of the Blueback plugins you can find on the Ocean store. So please visit www.ocean.slb.com or email sales@blueback-reservoir.com for further information. In terms of price models, there's two price models available to the System Center. Number one is a site license or an unlimited site license, which allows you to record and monitor an unlimited number of PCs from a defined site. This starts at $29K for the first site with discounts available for subsequent sites. There's also an additional price model, which is a cost per PC, and that cost is $300 per PC. In this model, you'll be provided with a license to limit the database to a specific capacity based on the number of PCs or Petrel installations one wishes to deploy the System Center to monitor. Okay, so I'm just going to break out some of the questions and answers. Okay, so yeah, version 2, we're targeting a release before the end of the year. So this, as I mentioned, will have the dashboard GUI. So again, in real-time sort of monitoring with a number of prepared views, sort of show you real-time information on your Petrel environment and licensing. Yeah, as I mentioned, we have the support for 2012 and 2013. But again, as I mentioned, there's also the, if you install on 2012, for example, and you have 2010 still installed, the plugin will report if on Petrel 2010, if indeed it is started up and a user utilizes that version of Petrel. Okay, so there doesn't seem to have been any more questions and answers, but the questions that have come in. Okay, so does it support SQL Server Express? Yes, it supports SQL Server Express. Okay, so if there's any questions we haven't got back to you on, we will make an email response to those today. So I'm going to end the session there. If we haven't responded to your questions, we'll get back to you. So thank you all for your participation. And yep, any more questions, sales@blueback-reservoir.com. All right, thank you very much, and goodbye for now.